Son. There's a reason why Dr. Doom is Dr. Doom. There's a reason we love him, right? So, this is the fight between Dr. Doom and Dormammu, and it is amazing. So what this does is this picks up after the end of the last video that we did, which basically showed that because the magical barriers around Earth were weakening, because Dr. Doom wasn't really focusing on those things, despite being the new Sorcerer Supreme, it opened the door for Dormammu to invade. Now here's the thing, when Dormammu invades the main Marvel universe, it's no small thing. And in fact, this guy has enough power to lay waste to almost everything in existence. And so here's what goes on, right? As soon as he invades, Dr. Doom gives us this monologue. He says the Avengers are gone, the Fantastic Four gone, and the X-Men gone. Everyone Dormammu thought might stand against him, banished in a single instant to an isolated and rapidly collapsing pocket dimension. Alpha Flight, the champions, heroes major and minor alike, even my steed, all of them gone. Now, of course, as you guys notice here, the Inhumans are not mentioned because they are trash. And so Dr. Doom continues on and he says, all of them, that is, save for Doom. I cast 3 spells. The first protects against Dormammu's attack. The other 2 engage. Then all that remains is him. So Dr. Doom literally shows up here, right? Like when Dormammu's making his move and he's like, you really attack my world? That's really what you're doing here, is showing up on Earth to attack it. Now, here's something to understand about Dormammu, right? Just even leaving out the level of power that he has. Dormammu is one of these beings out there who has such a level of power that people often draw on the power of Dormammu himself. Now, he's not the top dog, right? For example, Dormammu will draw on the power of Chthon. If we're talking about a hierarchy of demonic beings that are out there, Chthon's probably at the top, and if not, right under Zom. Right? Zom is like the most powerful evil magic wielder in Marvel. I mean, when that dude shows up, it took the power of the Living Tribunal to lock Zom away, right? That's the level of power that guy has. He is nuts. It's amazing how OP Zom is. Of course, we do have a video on him. If you want to check it out, you'll see it down in the description. But the thing about this is that Dormammu is still a force to be reckoned with. Why? Because Dormammu is a Faltine, right? Basically, he is a being composed of pure magical energy. The Dark Dimension is not his home dimension. He actually invaded the Dark Dimension from the Faltine dimension alongside his sister Umar. Then they seized control of the Dark Dimension and have effectively ruled it ever since. That is, of course, after it was fractured and turned into Splinter Realms, and that's neither here nor there. Dormammu shows up here, right? And he's like, your realm is unguarded. And Dr. Doom responds. He's like, a manifest lie, for Doom stands before you. And Dormammu doesn't care about him. Now understand, ever since the events of Last Annihilation, Dr. Doom and Dormammu are aware of each other, right? They know how powerful the other is and what they're capable of. Up until the Last Annihilation, I can't really think of any instances where Dr. Doom had faced off against Dormammu directly. It's not to say they didn't, I just can't really think of any instances where they have, but Last Annihilation is when they really learned what the other is capable of. And so Dormammu showing up here, he says, and that is a surprise. It appears you do know how to wield the powers of the Sorcerer Supreme after all, at least when it comes to protecting yourself. You are all that remains, Victor, the only one left. And I had worried this might be too easy. And he says, seeing you in person does nothing to dissuade me of that. Because when Dr. Doom goes to launch an attack, it does nothing against Dormammu. And Dormammu even says, so what now, Victor? Do you scheme some way to turn me into your ally, as you have with the others of this world? Or do you come to me sniveling, begging for my mercy? And the response of Doom, oh, you misunderstand me, right? This Doom is a fake. And he's like, the real one, Dormammu, is behind you, and he did not come to bargain. He literally teleports behind him and cracks him over the head with this giant mallet. And now again, it's enough to like distract Dormammu, but it's not enough to defeat him because he's like a distraction, right? A cheap, petty illusion. And Doom says, and yet more than enough to deceive you. He says, the Eye of Agamotto, its light destructive to demons. Doctor Strange only ever employed it directly. Like a fool, he never thought to magically bend that light around him over and over, growing it ever stronger in a torrent, a hurricane, before hitting you with light enough to shame the sun. And yet Dormammu stands. Because he says, funny, Victor, you call Strange a fool, and yet childlike, you look on me. You believe all you see is all there is. You didn't really think I came alone, did you? And he just says, demons, rise. And he summons all these demonic beings to invade and launch an attack against Dr. Doom. And Dr. Doom literally says, I cast spells to seal his demon portal shut with no effect. This may be a challenge. And it's an amazing monologue that he gives, right? He says, I must be stronger. My magic must be stronger. But Doom is not without his advantages. Dormammu is complacent, accustomed as he is to fighting Strange, the two of them always battling over and over to a glorified stalemate. He expects me to act as Stephen did, a foolish expectation. I am a smarter man, a patiently supreme sorcerer. To defeat Dormammu's demons, I need only use the Eye of Agamotto in a way Strange never would and never could. Many possibilities present themselves. I choose one, creating a new spell for its light, something unique, unprecedented, and cast it with two simple words. So what Dr. Doom does is he starts using the power of the Sorcerer Supreme to use other people's powers, because he simply says, flame on, and literally blast all these guys with the power of Johnny Storm. And then he says, I choose another spell, Optic Blast. And he takes the Optic Blast of Cyclops and starts firing against all these guys, right? And then he's like, and when Dormammu believes he's seen all that I can do, it takes but a word from Doom to prove precisely how wrong he is. And he just says, snicked, and he creates his own like claws, like his own adamantium claws from Wolverine, and stabs Dormammu with it. It is the most dope thing I have ever seen. I'm sorry, I'm so excited, people. But it is an exciting story, man. It's so exciting. It's amazing. He says, and then, not a mistake, but an oversight. Dormammu wanted me to get this close, wanted my attention on him, so that his demons could steal the eye from me. And Dormammu literally says, like all egoists, Victor, you seek glory above all else. And this makes you so endlessly predictable. And so because he no longer has the Eye of Agamotto, he's no longer able to bend light to face off and to force off the powers of Dormammu, it's really just him using traditional magic unto himself. Now, understand, he is still incredibly powerful in his own right, but nowhere near as powerful as he was before. Because when you're facing off against someone like Dormammu, who is a being made of pure magical energy, it's not someone easily defeated. And so that's why Dormammu says, you and I know two things no one else does. The first is how this truly is all your fault. You allowed Earth's mystical defenses to weaken, but I'll keep your secret because I know your other secret too. You could end this anytime you wanted. It's not too late. You could magically strengthen Earth's defenses in a heartbeat. You could save Earth, rescue all its heroes, and banish me and protect all those innocent people below. But there is the slight matter of the cost. To do it now, so late, when I am already here, it would mean using up all your magic, necessarily relinquishing your title. You would lose everything. You could do it with a thought, but it is a thought that you can never bring yourself to think, because it is an admission that Doom is insufficient, lesser, inferior, and yet thus you lose it all anyway, but in a way that is much more painful. I am the Dark Lord of the Faultine, and you, Victor, you are just a man. And literally like has this guy strung up, right? And then he just like strips away everything from Doom. He's like, I took your armor, now I take an arm, and he snaps his arm. He's like, now I take a leg, and he snaps his leg. And he says, finally, Victor, I let my demons feed on you. And he casts him below. Now, this is Ryan North drawing on the Marquis of Death story, if we're honest, right? The story where the Marquis of Death defeated Dr. Doom by putting him in the brain box, right? A kind of time bubble where it seemed like, what was it, like 20 years or something like that had passed, when in reality it had only been like 5 minutes. And then the Marquis of Death turned Dr. Doom's heart to stone, opened a time portal, and threw him 3 million years into the past, into the mouth of a megalodon shark. It was dope. It was one of the most amazing things that I think I'd ever seen. Mark Millar's Fantastic Four was ass. That was one of the few redeeming aspects of it. But at the end of the day, with Doctor Doom effectively defeated, Dormammu just kind of looks around and says, a decent realm. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, man. Y'all know. Doctor Doom, you don't just defeat Doctor Doom, right? One doesn't just throw Doctor Doom into the water after breaking some arms and legs and taking his armor away and then just kind of clean their hands and call it a day. No, son. No, son. Doctor Doom, this dude comes back with a vengeance, and it is just the hardest monologue in the history of Doctor Doom in Marvel Comics. He says, I have not lost. I have not lost. I have minutes of breath in my lungs. Minutes. I have a good arm and a good leg, and I've never needed the Eye of Agamotto to ensure that Doom's will be done. So literally he destroys these demons and comes flying out of the water, right? One leg just hanging there, the other arm just hanging there. He's got one working arm and one working leg. He looks at Dormammu and says, man, son, you better come strong. If that's all you have, this fight was over before it even started. Because Dormammu responds and seeing this, right? And he's like, you think yourself pernicious, Victor, but you're just stubborn. A dead man who simply hasn't realized it yet. So let me give you that push that you need across the finish line. And he just grabs him, right? And he's like, Dr. Doom, this is where your story ends. He goes to lance this killing blow, everything stops, right? And Doom says, the second of my 3 spells, cast when Dormammu first attacked, activates at my mental command, a time spell to freeze everyone but Doom for a single minute. One last chance to defy death. I'm held in Dormammu's magic, and the moment time resumes, he is going to destroy me. I've earned seconds to figure out how to prevent it. My armor's gone, the eye forgotten on the bed of the East River beneath me, my spells exhausted. All I have is my mask, what remains of my cloak, and my will. I am held tight in Dormammu's spell. Nothing moves, nothing budges. It can't even breathe. I try to move my broken limbs, forcing them, despite the shards of my broken bones cutting at my muscles. Nothing. And for a moment, a small moment, I permit myself to consider that I have lost. Doom gives himself but the smallest taste of defeat, and my entire soul rejects it. It is antithetical to every cell of my being. It is not Doom. I direct the totality of my will towards my shattered arms, and a single finger moves, an almost imperceptible amount. The pain is indescribable, beyond physical. Lesser men would do anything, promise anything, for only a chance to never feel this way again. But Doom is not lesser men. I have lost everything, true, but Doom is not the mask. Doom is not the armor. Doom is not the magic, and Doom is not the name. Doom is me, and I am him, and Doom never fails. And he pushes himself away from Dormammu just enough, right, to escape the hit that Dormammu would deliver. And he says other men would be exhausted, ruined. Doom is merely determined. That's the hardest thing I think I've ever heard. It's amazing, dude. It's so insane. And so Dormammu, realizing what's going on, he's like, temporal magic, right? Cheap, and it will only work once. But then Doom says, and then Dormammu hears something, a noise that he cannot recognize. And it is the sound of my plot coming to fruition, the final of my 3 spells, and the one I have been fighting for, buying time for ever since. The instant Earth's self-proclaimed heroes were taken to that pocket dimension, I used identical magic to send my Doombots there as well. There, they have labored with the others to escape, because while Dormammu is power manifest, he has never realized that with the greatest power, there must also come the greatest weakness. Dormammu is the end of everything, and when facing such an oblivion, heroes will always choose the greater good. They will choose to fight for this world. They will choose to save it, and thus, Earth's heroes. They're rescued by Doombots, and Dr. Doom, looking on everything, just says, Avengers, assemble, and acknowledges the fact that Earth's heroes choose Doom. With that being said, guys, we're going to bring this video to an end. I know, massive cliffhanger, son. The cliffhanger is extreme. I know, I was so pissed. I was like, Ryan North, no! Why would you do this to us? I am so excited. God, I love this story, man. This story is so fantastic. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, drop a like. It's nice to be excited about a Marvel comic again, and I will catch you all later. Peace.